Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We cover everything Major League, from spring training to the World Series. We've got your favorite club covered, from New York to Boston to LA. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast.
And welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, where we discuss everything the week of Major League Baseball. As always, I'm Jeremiah.
And I'm Anthony.
Yes, and Anthony is filling in for Ben today. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to start off with the Miami Marlins.
Yep.
Because they literally just got purchased by Derek Jeter and Jed Bush.
Yep, they are in the process of being, bought for $1.3 billion. Like, it is a pretty...
Did you do Dr. Evil voice?
Dude, but the thing is, it's $1 billion, over $1 billion, man, for a team in Miami that's not anywhere near one of the top organizations, right? I love the Marlins. I think they're great. They got some people, like Giancarlo Stanton, Marcell Ozuna. They got dudes who are good on the team, but they're not the Yankees. They're not the Red Sox. They're not the Cubs. They're not anybody like that, even the Cardinals. But $1.3 billion, because franchises are just going for ridiculous amounts of money right now. And you get it headed up by Jeb Bush, who has a history in Florida, and also the Bush family, who at one point owned the Rangers. So that whole family is, known in baseball circles. So it's not like once it's – because this has to go to a committee, basically, of the other owners to basically approve or deny them. Because I remember this happening a handful of years ago when what's his name? Mark Cuban was trying to buy the Cubs. And they're basically like, no, you can't. No, we don't want you in our club. So you're going to have the Bush family, which has been in there before. They know that whole, how baseball's run like that, so they'll be fine with that. And then you get Derek Jeter, who is, honestly, give me a person in the last 25 years who is more Teflon, who's more beloved than Derek Jeter, maybe Ken Griffey. But, that's about it, man. You get someone like him who went through 20 years in New York unscathed. One time he got popped because he basically gave the girl two of the same gift baskets afterwards. That's it. For 20 years, that's all you get? And you get these two people. And also Jeffrey Loria is ridiculously hated in Miami. They hate him so much. He's basically persona non grata because he basically bamboozled the city out of a lot of money to build the stadium. He's really cheap. He's condescending. They do these weird things with promotional stuff sometimes. When they opened up the new stadium in Miami, they basically, or the ballpark, I should say, they tried to honor the city of Miami with famous historic people, and the person they decided to bring out was Muhammad Ali. Not the best thing to do 5 years ago when Muhammad Ali's health wasn't the best. So he's gone. He gets $1 billion to be gone, but whatever. You got to eat that. $1.3 billion. Out with Loria, in with Jeb Bush and Derek Jeter, who basically is going to be what Magic Johnson was for the Dodgers, basically a figurehead that makes everybody happy. And, oh, look, we got Derek Jeter. That's great. And then, see if Miami can do well, from there.
Yeah, well, Miami currently right now is in second place in the National League East.
Yeah.
And, I do want to point something out. They haven't officially bought the franchise yet.
No, it takes time, yeah.
Yeah, they're reaching agreements.
Yeah.
And, Darren Ravel of ESPN said that the terms of the deal the financing is far from complete, and the deal can fall apart anytime. So,
sure.
As of right now, it looks like that's not going to happen. Derek Jeter and Jed Bush are going to be part of a group that owns this team. So, as of right now, what does this do for the future of the franchise? Like you said, Anthony, Jeffrey Loria was just kind of a poor owner, so to speak. If you think about it, and this is an owner that wanted to build a Jose Fernandez statue.
Right. I get that in some ways. I loved watching Jose Fernandez pitch.
I did, but I kind of.
There's also extra stuff
I'm kind of against that though. I talked about this on the show last week. I thought it was a little insensitive to even think about it because, if Jose Fernandez would have survived that boat crash,
he'd be in jail. Right, because the cocaine.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the killing. It's not the fact that his friends died if he was still alive. It's the added stuff of that. Right. I get it and don't get it. Like, I understand why you would want to do it, but the thing is, also said he wants to build the statue. If the team gets sold, I don't think that Jeb Bush or Jeter would basically allow that to happen. Like, I think it's basically this ownership that would do it, and the other ones wouldn't allow it to happen because they have no ties to Jose. Jose was someone around when Jeffrey Loria was doing it, and Jose was, how can I say this? Like, influentially, dude was amazing. Dude was somebody that. I remember them talking about this. Like, there's only been 2 people in the history of the Marlins organization, whether it's Miami or Florida, that has moved the needle as far as attendance goes. Because Miami, not exactly the most as far as, like, people coming all the time. They'll come when it's, like, an event, right? If, like, the Heat are in the playoffs or if the Marlins are making it to the World Series. But, like, day-to-day, no, that's not exactly how they did, especially in baseball. There's only been 2 people that do it. One was Dontrelle Willis and one was Jose Fernandez. So the only dudes that actually, like, changed attendance. And also his pitching style was great, and he was somebody who people love to watch, but he wasn't necessarily – he didn't necessarily, go out, quote-unquote, the best way possible, right? Like, the cocaine in his system when he crashed the boat, killing his 2 friends – I think it was 2 or 3 – basically tarnished whatever he did before that. So, the statue in front of the stadium, I get how that's kind of weird.
Yeah, and I did talk about that. I was a little insensitive, but, getting back to Jeter and Jed Bush buying the Marlins, I do want to say that there has to be 75% approval of any purchase of a MLB team.
Yeah.
Remember, Jeffrey Loria actually bought the Marlins in 2012 for $158.5 million. So he bought it a lot less than what he sold it for.
And not only that, but a lot of that was on loan too, because he had a situation where he was with the Montreal Expos for like $12 million, and then he, was basically able to maneuver that to get with the Marlins and stuff like that. Like, he's making a boatload of money, man. Like, he is cleaning up on this, even if it was 100. What did you say it was 25?
158.5.
158. I don't know why I got 25. 158.5. Like, even if it's that's still almost 10 times what you're going to make back. Like, it's a pretty good investment right there, even if it was all of that money his. Yeah, he's gone, and the Marlins will now have a more competent ownership in place. Loria, like I said, has been someone that the entire fan base has hated. So one of the people that listen to more than anybody else is Dan Lebitard, who's out of Miami. And he wants to do this thing where, how they have like a parade when you win the title and stuff like that. You have a parade down, for Miami Biscayne Boulevard, stuff like that. Hey, we won the title. Congratulations. Let's have a parade down the city. He wants to basically have a parade to dishonor Jeffrey Loria. Like, basically have it to where it says, like, yay, he's gone. And basically just, like, point out all the bad stuff he's done as an owner. Just basically, like, rip him a new one as he's going out the door.
All right. Well, others reportedly that were involved in the bidding process to negotiate to purchase the Marlins was New York businessman Wayne Rothbaum and a group led by Massachusetts businessman Tag Robney, which also included Tom Glavine, who used to play for the Atlanta Braves. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a great thing for a franchise that kind of gets them on the national landscape a little bit. You got Derek Jeter, who's probably one of the best, arguably a top 10 Yankee of all time.
Oh, he's top 10 Yankee. He's top 5 Yankee.
Top 5, exactly.
Well, that's really hard.
Because they have such a long
but
history
top 10,
there.
But yeah, top 10 for sure.
And you got Jed Bush, who was a governor of Florida, from 1999 to 2007, and he was a Republican presidential candidate. That didn't go so well.
Not exactly.
But we're not going to talk politics here on the baseball podcast. So I do think that Jeter actually used to play with a few of the guys on the Marlins. David Phelps, who is a reliever. Ichiro, who played with Jeter for about 3 seasons. Isn't it kind of weird that you own a team with players that you used to play with? Like, how would you feel?
I mean, but if anybody can do it, it'd be him. But it'd basically be him or A-Rod. Basically, the dudes that can afford to do that. I guess Griffey made a decent amount of money too. But like Albert Pujols, like people that came in the steroid era and made a boatload of money. The thing is with Jeter, like obviously he's top 10 Yankee of all time. We say that for certain. Top 10 Yankee of all time. Also, one thing that is kind of low key really good for him too. He started the Players Tribune, which, you can say whether that's good or not. It's had a few things. And we just had Dion Waiters basically come out and basically, staying in the whole Miami range, basically have this story on the Players Tribune where he basically just like bragged about himself for, however many paragraphs that was, talking about how good he was, how the NBA is just, thanking themselves the fact that he doesn't have to play in the playoffs. Kevin Durant's so happy that he doesn't have to play him in the finals, like all this stuff like that. But all of that comes from the Players Tribune, which is something Derek Jeter started right after he retired, which a lot of people, when that first came out, it's just like, wait, hold on. You're going to have a website devoted just so the players can say it? Like, that's what Twitter is. That's what the reporters do for, like, Sports Illustrated. Like, why do you need that? But it's worked, and you've had a lot of people announce their retirement from there. Like, it's gotten a lot of traffic, so even some small little thing like that, you get some money, get some business boost from that, basically being the guy that started something like that, because that's done well enough. And now, obviously, he's not the number one guy. As far as the investors go, that's the Bush family, because they've got ridiculous buku amounts of money. But
remember, George Bush used to be a part owner of the Rangers.
Of the Rangers, right.
Remember that.
So, and you get the situation where you have him be the Magic Johnson of the team, right? He'll be what Magic does in the Dodgers. Magic's basically the guy that gets out there, smiles, makes the organization, gives them like a, happy face or whatever else like that people know. Derek Jeter is that, and the only difference is Magic, basketball to baseball, but Jeter's staying in baseball. Now, he's probably not going to be somebody that goes out there and is the, guy that does all these press conferences, because that's never what Jeter's thing when he played. Like, he was just kind of a dude that stayed under the radar magically for 20 years.
Which is hard to do in New York, by the way.
So hard to do, man. That dude should take, just teach master's courses of just, how to survive in New York.
Yeah. And one thing I do want to point out is that maybe this can lead to Alex Rodriguez getting a role in the Marlins organization.
No, there's no chance in hell.
You don't think so?
Zero, man. That's the thing. Jeter, that's the other savage thing. Forget about the fact that A-Rod basically came to New York and Jeter said, no, I'm playing shortstop. You can go to hell. You can go to third base. He basically, because Alex Rodriguez is from Florida. He's from Miami. So you basically took your team, that you have a lot of ties to, not the Marlins itself, but the city of Miami. You took the team that is in your backyard and were able to buy a team that you could have bought too, A-Rod, because it's not like you're broke. You got a bunch of money too. You could have been an investor. But again, Jeter basically being just a little bit better than A-Rod, and that's got to sting A-Rod. There's no chance, because those two, they don't hate each other, but they're just comfortably separate from each other.
Yeah, which I get, but you know what though? From Alex Rodriguez moving to third base, it actually worked out for
it worked out for the team.
In the long run.
Right, they won a ring and everything else like that. But A-Rod was a better player than Jeter. Jeter's fantastic, amazing, great, top 10 Yankee of all time. But if A-Rod had been with the Yankees all time, A-Rod may have been a top 5 all-time Yankee.
All right, well, we're going to see. It's going to be interesting to see how the future of the Marlins will play out in the next, few years, maybe even possibly in a decade, and how of a owner Jeter is. All right, we're going to take our first break here, and are you going to stay or are you going to get out of here?
No, I got to get out of here.
All right. Well, when I return, I'm going to discuss Madison Bumgarner being out for 2 months and the San Francisco Giants and if they are in trouble right now. So I'll discuss that when I return to Going to Me Concepts Baseball Podcast.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. Well, another big story this past week was that Madison Bumgarner is going to be out for at least 2 months due to a sprained shoulder that he got in a dirt bike accident over the weekend. The World Series MVP from 2014, he has bruised ribs. He sprained the AC joint in his pitching shoulder, and he's going to be out for 2 months. He's not going to need surgery on the sprained shoulder. He is scheduled to begin light rehabilitation activities in 4 or 5 days, but he is going to be gone for 2 months. He's going to be gone for 2 months, and it comes at a terrible time for the San Francisco Giants, who have got off to a struggling start. This year. They are in last place, 7-14. They 3-7 in the last 10 games. They're not hitting as a team. They're not hitting well. They're not pitching well. They're just not overall playing well. And Bumgarner didn't even get off to a good start either. He is 0-3 with a 3 ERA this year in 4 starts. He's only received 5 runs of support, which 2 of them were his own home runs. So it's not a great year for the Giants. They are not hitting. They're not pitching. They're just not doing a whole lot. So, with Madison Bumgarner being out for 2 months, I have to ask this. Are the Giants in trouble? I think if I'm a Giants fan, I will have to be concerned. You got to be concerned with this team because, you got a team like the Colorado Rockies on the rise who have gone out to a phenomenal start, by the way. 14-7. They're one of the best offensive lineups in the league, but we kind of knew that already. Their pitching has been pretty solid. They got the Diamondbacks as well. They got off to a really great start, 14-8. They are 10-2 at home. And, of course, you got the Dodgers in there with Kershaw, so they're always going to be in it. But, man, the Giants are off to probably the worst start in franchise history. So I have to ask this, if they are in trouble. Well, Bumgarner, he's not going to need surgery, so that is good. He did talk to the press on Monday before their game against the Los Angeles Dodgers. He said that he feels he's really sorry that he can't be out there with his teammates. So, yeah, it may have been a dumb move on Madison Bumgarner's part, but at least he really is apologizing. But the thing is, though, he's not going to be there. And the Giants, at this time, right now, they actually do need him. They do need him right now. But I do think that with Bumgarner undergoing a follow-up MRI on Monday, there's no structural damage to the shoulder. Bush-Bochy shared that on Tuesday's game against the LA Dodgers. There's no timetable for Bumgarner's return. He could miss more than 2 months of the season. Bobby Evans, the general manager, said the focus is getting him healthy. And remember, he's not the only pitcher that's hurt right now. Matt Cain also underwent an MRI on his right hamstring during Monday's win against the LA Dodgers, but Cain did say he feels good. So overall, is the Giants, are they going to be done this year? Maybe, they've got off to a really great start in this decade. In this decade alone, in the early 2010s, they have won 3 World Series in 5 years. And that's practically a dynasty right there. And then, they have held on to all those guys that have got them there. They have a lot of homegrown talent, with Joe Panic, Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, even bringing up Christian Arroyo from AAA Sacramento this week. They have not let go of any of those players from those early years in the 2010s. Hunter Pence, who they got in the trade in 2012, still there. They're just not really hitting all those clutch at the clutch time. They're just not. And it's crazy that, the best pitcher on this team right now is Matt King. I never thought I would have said that this year. The best pitcher on this team right now is Matt King. And, Johnny Cueto, he has the most wins, but he has an ERA of 5.25. Matt Moore, he has an ERA of 5.87. He got off to a 1-3 start. Then you got Jeff Samardzija. He's 0-4 with 7.40. And you got Mark Melancon there, who blew his first save, but, he kind of has settled down a little bit. The Giants are just they're not good right now. But you know what? This is a long season. I'm not ready to count them out yet. This is a team that always plays. They always get hot at the right time. They always get hot at the summer. And I do think they still have the talent to be a wild card team. I can't get them. I can't say that they're going to be a division winner now. But I do think they have enough talent to be in the playoffs. I can't count them out yet. They always seem to know how to play at the right time, and they knew how to get hot at the right time. They always get those clutch hits in the summer. Their pitching, I do think their pitching will bounce back later in the year. Maybe they can be buyers at the trade deadline. Maybe they can be, depending on how they go. If the Giants are literally like 10 to 15 games under 500 this year, they could possibly be sellers because, they got Johnny Cueto. Yeah, they have him on a 5-year deal, but he also has an opt-out clause the second year. So maybe they can get him there, but who knows? And maybe they can try to trade somebody. If that's only if they're like 15 games under 500. I don't see that happening. And you never know. I do think that this is a tougher division than it has ever been. Colorado, they're finally putting it all together. I've always said that if that pitching can catch up to that lineup, then it can be really good. They're doing it without John Gray, their best pitcher, as well. So when he comes back, I think they're going to be even better. Greg Holland has done very well as a closer, having 9 saves. He's done very well. Of course, they got guys like Nolan Arenado hitting really well. That lineup, I don't have to talk about that lineup. I do think the Diamondbacks is a team I'm kind of surprised with because I thought they were going to just be an offensive team with no pitching. Their pitching is pitching solidly enough, and their offense gives them a lot of run support too, so that helps out hand in hand. The Dodgers, they may have got off to a very average start, but they are the Dodgers. They got a lot of talent. Even without Clayton Kershaw last year, the Dodgers found a way to win the division. But if I were to bet on the Giants finishing last place, I don't think I can put them in last place in the year. Yeah, I know they got swept by the Rockies this past weekend, but I've seen this team play to its full potential before, and I do think we can see it again later this year. But I'm loving from what I'm seeing from Colorado and Arizona, and when I look at the National League West, it's becoming more of an offensive division. It used to be a defensive pitching division a couple years ago. Now it's all about the hitting. And maybe the Giants just haven't caught up to the hitting of the other teams. You got Arizona. In Arizona, you got at least 5 guys, maybe 3 to 5 guys that can hit 40. No, not 40, but you got 3 to 5 guys that can hit 30 home runs. Colorado, you got like 4 guys that can hit 40. LA, you got at least 5 guys that can hit 30. San Diego, I'm not even going to talk about them because they're pretty much irrelevant at this point. I think they're going to be the worst team in the division when the years end. There's really no talent there. But the Giants, when you look at their offense compared to the rest of the division, it's just not. It's just like they never caught up with that. And I do think they need some type of bat to rejuvenate this offense. Maybe they can get it with Christian Arroyo, who they just brought up. Maybe they can make a trade for Ryan Braun, but the Brewers are doing pretty well. So I don't know if the Brewers are going to trade Braun when they're in contention. So who knows? It's going to be an interesting summer for the Giants. I am concerned right now, but I do think they will bounce back this year, and I do expect them to make a run, at least a run at a playoff spot in September. In April, it is way too early to count this team out. It is way too early. And if they somehow find ways to win without Bumgarner there, then who knows? Sky's the limit. But when Bumgarner comes back, I do think he will bounce back. I do expect Bumgarner to pitch well in the second half of the season. I can't count this team out yet. I cannot. All right, well, I'm going to take my last break, and when I return, I'm going to give you my stud, my dud, and my team of the week when I return to Guns to Me Concepts Baseball Podcast.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's GSMCpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to Guns to Me Concepts Baseball Podcast. Well, it is that time of the show to pretty much recap the stud, the dud, and the team of the week. Well, I'm going to start off with the stud of the week. And, you know, yesterday in the Nationals game versus the Colorado Rockies, you know, Trey Turner, he had a great game. You know, he hit for the cycle, drove in 7 RBIs. But I'm telling you right now, he is not my stud. His teammate, Ryan Zimmerman, is actually my stud of the week, and he has been incredible. He's hitting .400. He has 4 home runs, 11 RBIs. He's playing really phenomenal. Probably one of the best starts he's had in a couple years. Because when you look at Ryan Zimmerman's numbers the past 2 years, they haven't been great. You know, he's been hitting at least I think he had 15 home runs last year, 60 home runs after that. He hasn't hit for 20 home runs since 2013. He has 7 home runs already. So it looks like he's having himself a little bit of a nice bounce-back year for the Nationals. And I do think there's a chance for him to continue this streak here. And, you know, the Nationals look like they're a team to be reckoned with in the AOE. So that is my stud of the week. And for my dud of the week, you know, I'm actually not surprised that this guy has gone off to a very slow start. He was a free agent for most of the winter, and he went back to his team on a 1-year deal, and that is Jose Bautista. He has not got off to a great start. For over the last 7 days, he's only hit for 172, 1 home run, which is his first of the year, 4 RBIs. He hasn't done a whole lot. You know, this whole entire Toronto Blue Jays team is struggling, to be fair. They are. But this year, I just don't think he has it anymore. I did say last year that, you know, Bautista, he's going to be a free agent on the market because, you know, he is in his mid-30s. This is when the age that in the mid-30s, a lot of baseball players start to decline. I think we're seeing it. He's hitting 145. He barely had his first home run this week. He only has 5 RBIs. He only has 3 extra base hits. That's 2 doubles and a home run. He's not doing a whole lot for this team. But to be fair, this whole Blue Jays team is not playing really well right now. And for my team of the week, I'm going to have to go with the Colorado Rockies, who are a top of the National League East Division. Yes, they are 7-3 the last 10 games. Right now, the batting stats, they are tied for 6th in 100 runs. They are 8th in batting average. Their pitching has been doing a lot better, but it's still not great. I do think by the end, if their pitching continues to get better, they can be a really good threat to make the playoffs. But they are top of a really competitive division. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't think the Colorado Rockies are going to win this division. I do think they're good enough to win a wild card spot, but I don't see this team winning the division. I can see the Dodgers, running away with it at the end. I did talk about the Giants in the last segment. I do think the Giants could make a run late in the year. But, I love what I'm seeing from the Rockies. They are one of the funnest teams to watch right now. They keep on hitting home runs. They keep on hitting. You got guys like Mark Reynolds, who was a part-timer. He's hitting .324 right now. You got DJ LeMahieu, .295. Gerardo Parra is hitting .316. So they're getting hits from a lot of guys that you don't normally see hit a lot. They're one of their top 2 guys, Trevor Story and Carlos Gonzalez, are getting out to very slow starts. But I do think those guys, they will bounce back. They play in Coors Field, for crying out loud. But yeah, that is my team of the week. Jose Bautista is my dud of the week. And Ryan Zimmerman is my stud of the week. And that is going to conclude the show for me. I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. I will be back next week. We'll discuss any type of news that happens over the week of baseball. As always, I'm Jeremiah. Thank you for tuning in to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. You guys have a great day.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.